Governor, congratulations
Thank you.
on your second win.
Thank you very much.
How did that feel for you?
You know, it feels good. I enjoy campaigning. I have a good time talking with people and traveling all over the state. But, you know, it was time for it to be over with, and we're very happy with the win. It was frankly, a bigger win than we thought it was going to be, 63%, and just very happy about it.
I think you're understating this. ABC News called your race 1 minute after the polls closed. At 7:31 they called it. I looked at my watch. This was a landslide. To what do you attribute that?
You know, I think that if you look across the country and look at people who were successful, particularly governors, what you find is they were people who just rolled up their sleeves and worked. You know, we've focused, I think, on things in Ohio that people really care about: the education of their children, making sure that you know, every child can live up to their full potential, focusing on the infrastructure, focusing on the water and making sure the water is good, and not only Lake Erie but across the state. Workforce components. You know, we're creating more jobs in Ohio every single day than we have people to fill them. And so our job is to make sure that we leave no child behind, no adult behind. And our career tech, we put a great emphasis on career tech. So these are things that I think people can relate to. They affect the quality of life. They affect their families. And I think that's why we won.
You had crossover voters. Do you know by what percentage you had crossover voters and why?
All during the campaign, I had Democrats come up to me and tell me that they were going to vote for me. And candidly, look, I also had Democrats come up and say, look, I think you've done a great job. I can't vote for you because of abortion. You're pro-life. I'm not. But I still think you've done a good job. And so, you know, some of those votes we got, some of those votes we didn't get. But that, you know, that makes you feel good as well, that you're that you're getting people not just from your own party, but you're getting independents. We got a lot of independents, and we got a significant number of Democrats.
So was that it? Are you done? Last election? It's a wrap?
Well, I don't know. You know, 4 years, one of the things I said election night, and I was very careful what I said, but I said, thank you for giving me the most precious thing there is, which is time. You know, you run for office because you want to change things. You run for office because you think you can make a difference. And getting the time, getting 4 more years to be able to do that is a precious, precious gift. So I'm just focused on, you know, what we're doing going forward. We spent the day so far working on our budget. You know, what are the things that we're going to really emphasize, and how are we going to do it? So I'm excited. I'm excited to have the chance to continue to do this job.
Well, I know you just won re-election, and I know that for years you said the job you always wanted was to be governor. You're getting 2 terms to do that. So is there another job you would want in elected office past this one?
I don't know. You know, you run for office because you want to have an impact, and I don't know any other office that I could have more impact than governor.
Well, okay, some radio personalities are saying DeWine for president.
Well,
do you envision that in any way?
Look, you don't rule anything out, but that's not what I have in mind. That's not what I'm intending. That's not what I work on every single day. I mean, this is really a chance. Ohio's moving. This is our time in history, and things are just coming together for us. And if we can get a few things right, there's just no stopping Ohio. I mean, for example, I'm going to continue to put a lot of emphasis on mental health. Mental health is holding some people back, untreated mental health. I talk to parents and they've got a child who has a mental health problem, yet they can't get the assistance that they need. We've got to remove those barriers. We've got to make it so that what John Kennedy promised 60 years ago actually comes true, and that is that we build a mental health system that's a community mental health system. The last bill that Kennedy signed was the Community Mental Health Act, and the commitment was not only would we deinstitutionalize and no longer lock people up because they had a mental health problem, but the other thing we would do is give families hope and help in every single community across this country. And we never have really quite done that. We need to do that. So that's a big thing that's on our agenda. What else holds people back? Another thing that holds people back is addiction. And, you know, we've done a lot, but we need to do more. And we have plans, and we'll be talking to the legislature about it.
You should have a supermajority. Do you think you'll be able to get through what you want to push through?
Well, it's excuse me. It's been interesting. I think there's some people think that we have not been able to get as much as we wanted through the legislature, and there's been some high-profile bills. For example, we have a bill pending right now that I would urge the legislature to pass, and it basically says that if you're a violent criminal and you're found with a gun again, that the judge will have a great deal of discretion to throw the book at you and lock you up for a long, long time. That bill will save lives. That bill will save lives in Cincinnati, in Columbus, Springfield, Lima, all across the state, because it's relatively few people who commit the vast majority of violent crime. And getting them removed from society is how we're going to save people's lives. I'm sick of reading about, hearing about a 6-year-old or a 7-year-old who gets shot because they were in the wrong place and somebody who wasn't supposed to have a gun anyways, not legally have it, shoots that person. So there's some bills that we would like to get through the legislature that frankly the legislature has not yet passed, but I'm optimistic. The other thing that we've done though with the legislature is, if you look at the budgets that I have presented, we've presented 2, we're working on our 3rd, the legislature's pretty much given us what we wanted. And that is to put a real emphasis on kids, early childhood education, early childhood development, funding for our schools in regard to mental health. They've done everything I've asked them to do in that area.
Yeah, you said 4 years ago when I talked to you, right after you won, and you said on election night that your focus, you're going to get back to basics, but that your focus is always going to be on children. Are there anything specific that you want to get passed or to occur over the next 4 years in regards to children?
Well, we have a number of proposals. I think that we should not be taxing, for example, diapers. We should not be taxing things that are essential for people to raise kids. We should help these families, whether they are 2-parent working families, 1 parent working, 1 staying at home, doesn't matter. We should help them in regard to their kids. And you're going to see us do that through taxes, and you're going to see us do that in giving more and more support, particularly to poorer families, particularly to families who have a lot of challenges, prenatal care, postnatal care. We know that the first 3, 4, 5 years of a child's life are absolutely the most important period of time. And we're just stupid if we don't invest more in these kids early on so that they can start kindergarten and be up to speed at kindergarten, and then by 3rd grade being able to read and move forward.
The pandemic, that was a challenge. Was it the toughest challenge you faced in the 4 years you had so far?
Well, I think the pandemic is we hope a once in 100-year occurrence, and it certainly was a great challenge. It was something that we tried to balance every single day, how we keep people working, but at the same time, how we keep people safe. And there was no playbook. There was, we got the best information that we could. And what I did every single day, I'm not saying we got everything right, but every single day we tried to get the best available information and make the decisions for that day based upon that information that we had.
Yeah, on that note, was there anything that you wish you had a do-over in regards to the pandemic? You look back on it now and you go, wish we could have done that, or wish we hadn't done that? One of the things I've said is that, when we went to the initial shutdown, there was some discrimination really based on what kind of business that you had. So, for example, if you had a small jewelry store, you might have been for a period of time shut down. But if it was a bigger store and jewelry was only a small part of what you sold, maybe some of those companies, those retailers stayed open. So there was a disparity. I think there's a disparity that, looking back, that we would have tried to figure out how to deal with that disparity. But you can always second guess, and I guess after the game is over with, you can go back and look at something that happened in the first quarter. But
I'm not sure that is particularly helpful. We made decisions based on what we knew at the time, and we made decisions based on what the best scientists told us at the time. I'm proud, something I don't think that some people realize, but I'm very proud of the fact that when our urban schools wouldn't go back in session, in person, even though we had the vaccine, we put a lot of pressure on them to go back. I mean, I basically said to them, we will vaccinate everybody in your school as long as you go back to school by March 1st. And I'm convinced that the urban schools simply would not have done that, most of them, unless we put that pressure on them. And we were able to get them all back in March.
Can you talk to me about the unique challenges that you were going to face, any governor would face, when you no longer can run for re-election? What would be those challenges?
Well, I think the important thing, everybody always looks at the next election. So I'm sure people are looking at the presidential election in 2 years. People are looking at the gubernatorial election in 4 years. Politicians are always looking forward. I think my challenge is, to lead during this period of time. And I intend to do that. I intend to, move us forward as a state. And we have ideas of what we need to do. I think we know what we need to do. So you're going to see, no one's going to be sitting back in my administration. I mean, we're having a cabinet meeting next week. The first thing I'm going to tell people is, if you think that the first 4 years have been tough, and the first 4 years you've worked hard, you're going to work a lot harder the second 4, because we're rolling now, and we need to get these things done. So there's no holding back, and we're going to run through the tape.
You will have a legislature that is nearly veto-proof, depending on the issue. So is that something that you have to walk a nice tightrope on?
Well, I think whoever the governor is, whoever the president is, has to deal with whatever the legislature or whatever the Congress is. And so each legislature presents different challenges, each presents different opportunities. So I think, you have to know the legislature, and you have to know, how you get things done.
So, as far as I know, you have never come out, and I might be wrong about this, but as far as I know, you have never come out and said you are against the death penalty. But I think everyone is very familiar with the fact that you are a very faithful man. You're a Catholic. And there have been no death penalties exercised since you've been governor. Will you do anything in your next 4 years to affect the death penalty in the state of Ohio?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. Not had any executions since I have been governor. I've explained that there's only one method of execution under Ohio law. That's lethal injection. Drug companies have made it very clear, if we use their drugs for injection, lethal injection, that may risk state hospitals getting any kind of drugs at all from that same company. So we are clearly at a standstill, and I don't see anything that changes that in the immediate future.
Okay, Pike County, have you paid attention to this trial that's going on? This has been a long trial. I'm just curious because as Attorney General, you brought those charges.
I certainly have paid attention to it. I've not watched any of the trial. I've read some of the accounts of the trial, but I certainly have a great interest in it. It was something that I'm very proud of, that we were able to do in the Attorney General's office, and really a crime that had very little evidence, and a crime that was very difficult to solve. The men and women of the BCI under the Attorney General's office did a great job and solved that crime. And it was, somebody will write a book, someone will make a movie of it, because it was just so unbelievable that that series of murders that one morning, that one night, would occur over a custody issue. I mean, it's something that when we started that investigation, we had absolutely no idea that that's what it was. No idea, but it took old-fashioned police work plus modern technology to get it done and to find out what happened.
I guess, and finally, unless there's something else you want to talk about, I just wonder, you work so hard. It's very clear that you and your wife both work extremely hard. But is there some incredible satisfaction as you now enter the second 4 years, a second term? Is there some incredible satisfaction on looking back on this very long career of public service you've had?
Well, I don't look back a lot. I look forward, and I look forward to what I think we can do, because I think I've had a lot of great jobs, and I think I've done a good job in each one of them, starting back when I was a young county prosecuting attorney. Some people have asked me, what's your favorite job? And in many respects, being a 29-year-old county prosecuting attorney was probably the ultimate job. It was a lot of fun. I learned a lot, and it was something that was very, very important to me. But being governor, it's if you want to have influence, if you want to have, being governor, it gives you the ultimate opportunity to really make a difference every single day. Jim Rhodes used to say I could walk out. He said I could walk out, and this was the days of morning newspapers and night newspapers, and he said I could just see the first reporter and tell him something, and he said that will start the debate in the state about whatever issue I'm talking about. Governor has the ability to set. You can't get everything done you want, but the governor has the ability to really determine what the state talks about. So when we present our budget, people are going to be talking about kids. They're going to be talking about early childhood development. They're going to be talking about, let's give better tax breaks for families. So we have the ability to control that debate and then to push our agenda. So I'm excited about it and looking forward to it.
Do you ever take a break? I mean, you work so hard. I mean, there's this, like, are you excited about the idea that one day you'll take a break? Or you're just happy to be where you are?
Well, look, I like my life very well. I mean, I like what I'm doing. I have meaningful work every day, and there's never a dull day. And at the same time, we spend a lot of time with our kids and our grandkids. I mean, one of the things that over this election night and morning, we were planning on, what are our next trips as a family together? Where are we going to go? Where do you want to go? And I'll give you a little secret. The consensus was, led by my wife Fran, that we need to go see Dollywood. So I think we're looking for a trip down there with the whole family in the future.